Some nights, when the wind rattles the barn doors and coyotes call from the far hills, I remember the day I bought a girl at the livestock auction. Folks still whisper about it. Some call it madness, others call it charity. But if you'd been standing in my boots that scorched afternoon in Dry Creek, Texas, you might have done the same. Let me tell you why. That autumn, the sun baked everything into silence. The cattle, the men, the boards beneath my boots. I wasn't looking for trouble. Hell, I wasn't looking for company either. All I wanted was a good horse and a fair price, something to help me see out the winter. But fate, if you believe in such things, has a way of dealing you a hand you never asked for. The auction was winding down, dust hanging thick in the air. I was about to leave when I caught sight of something that stopped me cold. A scrawny bay mare with scars on her side, and beside her, a girl. Barefoot, dress torn, face smeared with dirt. She looked maybe 19, maybe less, hair hanging over her eyes, and tied to her wrist was a length of rope. At the other end stood a man too far gone in whiskey to care about dignity. I heard him barking to the crowd. "She's deaf, dumb, barely worth feed. Comes with the horse if you want her. Hell, she'll clean, cook, never talks back. Cheaper than a hired hand." Most men laughed. Some spat. I turned my back, ready to leave that scene behind. But then I felt something. Her gaze. It wasn't fear or pleading, just a clear, steady look that said she'd seen the worst of men and had nothing left to lose. I saw something of myself in that look. I'd come to Dry Creek for a horse. I left with both, horse and girl. The town folk had a field day with it. "Starting a harem, Silas?" one called out, but I kept my mouth shut, paid the man his coins, untied the girl, and led them out into the dying light. She followed close behind, silent as shadow, never glancing back. I gave her the back of the wagon, tossed her a blanket, and we rode home through dusk, the prairie stretching out, empty and unforgiving. My place isn't much. Couple 100 acres of hard clay and fence posts, a main house slouched against the wind, a barn barely holding together. When we got back, I half expected her to bolt, but she just stood there, eyes taking in the land like she was memorizing every inch. Inside, I stoked the fire and pointed at the kettle. She moved like she belonged there, found the cups, boiled water, all without a sound. After supper, I handed her a piece of chalk, tapped the door frame, and said, "Name?" She knelt, wrote in a careful hand, "Emmeline." I read it out loud, like I was making a promise to remember. First days were awkward, two strangers orbiting each other's silence. She did chores without a word, fed the mare, mended the tack, swept the floor. Sometimes she'd brush past me, and I'd catch a whiff of something wild, like sage, or maybe just freedom. She never spoke. She never wrote more than a note. Bacon low. Wind coming. But there was a rhythm to her presence. I'd never known peace could sound like that. One night, thunder rumbled across the prairie. I was in the shed, counting calves, when Emmeline appeared, wild-eyed, barefoot, tugging at my sleeve. I was halfway through telling her to calm down when lightning split the sky, striking the oak behind the barn. The blast shook the earth. Smoke rose. She'd known, felt it somehow, before the clouds, before the wind. When the fire was out and the animals calmed, I sat across from her at the kitchen table, hands raw from work, heart raw from something else. No words passed, but I saw it in her eyes. She was listening. Maybe she always had. The days blurred. She fixed things, animals, fences, even me, in her quiet way. Once, I sat on the steps, thinking about the land, the blood it cost, my old man's ghost riding me every night. Without a sound, Emmeline came, laid her hand on my shoulder, light as dust, steady as rain. I found myself muttering things I'd never told a soul. She never judged, never pitied, just listened. Sometimes I wondered if she heard more than most. Sometimes I wondered if she heard everything. But in towns like Dry Creek, folks talk. They didn't like what they couldn't understand. She stares at the cows like she knows when they'll drop, said the blacksmith's wife. Touched our goat, and it died. Rumors grew, ugly and sharp. People crossed the street. Mothers pulled children away. Emmeline bore it with the patience of a stone, but I saw her hands tremble when she thought I wasn't looking. It boiled over one night when a ranch boy fell sick. Fever, fits, near death. Doc was away, preacher useless. Emmeline walked into that barn, knelt beside the cot, and in her silent way mixed herbs and cloth, cooling his skin. By dawn, the boy was sitting up, hungry as a coyote. His mother wept, kissed Emmeline's hand. But by noon, the town's fear caught up. How'd she know what was wrong? How'd she cure him? 3 nights later they came for her, 8 townsfolk, torches in hand, standing at my gate. Withers, the old man who'd lost his own family, led them. "We want her gone, Silas. She's cursed." I stood in the barn doorway, arms folded, the kind of tired that settles in your bones. "She saved a life," I said. "You'd run her out for being different? You want her, you'll have to go through me." No one moved. The torches weren't lit that night, and I never forgot the sound of boots turning away in the mud. Inside, Emmeline poured cider, set it on the fire, then just sat beside me, close enough to feel her heartbeat if I cared to listen. I did. That winter, the world shrank to the ranch and what we could carry inside it. Emmeline taught me how to read silence, how to speak with hands. I taught her to ride. She was a natural, like she could feel what the horse was thinking. Animals listened to her. So did I. When I was thrown from my horse, she found me half dead in the snow, patched me up with pine sap and patience, and pressed her lips to the wound, a gesture I felt for weeks after. One stormy night, she woke me, tugged my sleeve, pointed to the barn. We rushed out, rain cutting sideways, wind howling like lost souls. The roof was coming down. She was already moving the horses to shelter. No panic, just purpose. The barn collapsed behind us as the last mare cleared the door. I looked at her, drenched, breathing hard, and finally understood. She wasn't deaf, not truly. She heard things no one else did, the turn of the wind, the shiver in the earth, the ache in a man's soul. People changed, slow as spring grass. Tom Weaver, ranch hand, came by with a busted shoulder. Emmeline fixed him up, sent him home with a bandage and a nod. A widow showed up for comfort. Townsfolk started leaving pies by the gate, preserves, small offerings. They didn't speak much, but their eyes said what words wouldn't. But the world doesn't stay gentle long. Come spring, a boy went missing in the hills. Panic swept the town. Men shouted, dogs barked, mothers wept. Emmeline knelt in the dirt, pressed her hands to the ground, crawled forward, tracing every broken twig, every sign the earth would give. I followed. So did the others. We found the boy curled under a tree, alive but scared. She had led us right to him. No one called her witch after that. They just watched her, and sometimes they listened. I learned too. If you ask me why I bought that girl at the auction all those years ago, why I stood between her and a town full of fear, I couldn't give you a simple answer. Maybe I saw my own loneliness in her. Maybe I needed saving as much as she did. Or maybe, just maybe, I was tired of silence that never meant a damn thing, and I was ready for someone who could finally hear my heart. That's all I got to say about it. Some stories, well, they don't ever really end.